I always felt like I was going to become a professional basketball player, which is hilarious because
Same.
I'm 5'9", 200 pounds, not jumping very high, not running very fast. I literally thought I was going to go play at Duke, thought I was going to get a full ride there. My parents to this day, like we joke about it now, but they like never shot that down until the first year in Austin. My dad was like, yeah, I knew that was never in the cards for you.
Welcome to the Coach 'em Up podcast. My name is Tim Riley. I am thrilled, ecstatic, excited, all of the above to introduce you to our guest. But before I do that, we've got some house cleaning, some things that we need to discuss, talk about. We need to have a heart-to-heart, a knee-to-knee, an eye-to-eye conversation. Many of you are subscribed. We love that around here. We love you. We appreciate you. We adore you. Our numbers are growing faster than they ever have. We have you guys to thank for that. However, our analytics show that more than half of the people who watch our show, who listen to our show, are not subscribed to our show. That is devastating news. Now, there is something you can do to make this right. If you are unsubscribed, if you do not follow us, please do so. It is free to you. And it helps us. It helps us. It's free to you. It's free to you and it helps us. This is me. I'm not on my knees begging, but I am seated comfortably in a felt chair. Hit the subscribe button, follow. Now that all of that's out of the way, the business part of this show, if you will, I am going to do my best to say this name correctly. And I've known him personally for a long time. I should be able to. Here we go. Everyone, I want to introduce Cristian Placsencia.
Yeah, there it is.
Placsencia.
There it is.
All right, I panicked for a minute. Cristian Placsencia.
Yes,
Cristian,
yes,
how are you, brother?
I'm great. I am also one of those people, realized this morning, that was not subscribed, but I am officially following and subscribing.
See, you think now this? First of all, shout out CP because he's a real one for that. Okay, he's up here. We haven't even been rolling for 2 minutes. He's like, hey, I am one of those ones. But now he's with us on the winning side. Yeah. And here, actually, therein lies the problem. So many of you listen and watch closely, intently every Tuesday. You're ready to listen to the next show that comes out. You assume I'm a subscriber. Yeah. Certainly, I'm a subscriber. Do not be so certain. Not so fast, my friend. You got to check. Shout out CP for keeping it real. Dude, so I have to say this. We've been in each other's orbit for a while now.
Yeah.
We know a lot of the same people, good and bad. Okay, good and bad. And I will say that we have a very unique trauma bond. We're not going to get into it, but getting to know you and seeing how you operate and getting to work alongside you has been a real treat.
Same, dude.
You're just the consummate professional. You do a killer fucking work.
Appreciate it.
And I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't make an effort to get connected with you sooner. It took us actually kind of the universe arranging things so that we work in the same space now. At this
fucking forces.
literally, yes. It's going to happen one way or another, goddammit. So anyway, all that to say, I've got to see your work firsthand and have a real appreciation for it. For those of us listening and watching who don't know who you are or what you do, who is CP? What do you do? How did you get there?
Yeah. First off, that is a two-way street right there. So I feel like there was like, for a little while, like I knew of you, knew of me, kind of just like I'm doing my shit, you're doing your shit, keeping our distance. And then finally, as the universe would have it, we end up crossing paths. And it was like, all right, let's just break this damn ice already.
Yes.
Let's get the thing over with. And honestly, besides marrying my wife, probably the second best decision I've ever made in my life.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Take a back seat, kids.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's all right.
2 kids.
Your wife won't watch this. Don't worry. My girlfriend doesn't watch either.
Yeah, she gave up on that.
She doesn't listen to any of it. It's kind of like I talked about this before where I'll be like, I'll do something, I still train to be as athletic as possible, right? It's my thing. Shout out Apex. And I'll put down like a windmill dunk or I'll like get a new fly time and I don't have anyone else to like show, I like put it on Instagram and like, the boys are like, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. But like, if I go to show her, I'll be like, honey, look at this. Look at what I did. And she'll go, wow.
Yeah.
So cool. And it's the same thing with the podcast. I'd be like, oh, guess who I had on? And she'd be like, who? I'm like, all right, you're just the wrong.
Placenta? Who? Never heard of him. Sounds like a weirdo.
She's not the target audience, you know. She's a supportive queen. Don't get me wrong, but
love that.
She just, you know, she's not going to listen. So, so anyway, continue.
Yeah, for sure. So whatever you want to call it, strength and conditioning coach, performance coach, all personal trainer, whatever. I feel like I usually like rush through my like history of being on podcasts in the past, and I've told myself today, like, I'm not going to rush through anything.
Dude, we got 2 hours. Take your time, brother. Yeah. I want to know too. Like, give us the whole villain arc.
Yeah. Yes. So I was born in 1992 in Saline. No, I'm just kidding. So originally from California, did my undergrad at California Lutheran University, which is like in Southern California-ish area. Went to school for exercise science. I always thought I was going to be a physical therapist. So like it was a really weird kid, like loved hoops, played hoops growing up, sprained my ankle. My mom is like super type A. Like if you met my mom, you probably understand why. But at age 13, I started like interning very softly at a physical therapy clinic. He was a close family friend. Mm-hmm. My mom just wanted me to be involved in something at some point beyond just sports. Folding towels, doing all the cool stuff. Yeah. But then probably about like 15, 16, actually started taking like a general interest in like, oh, the human body's kind of cool, like looking at these anatomy books in here, trying to learn a little bit of like, well, why are you doing these certain exercises, you know, inside of this like physical therapy rehab space? And then I always felt like, I was going to become a professional basketball player, which is hilarious because I'm 5'9". I was 200 pounds, which I'm like 170-ish now. So like, not jumping very high, not running very fast, not really doing much.
What was your play style though? Were you your point
I was
guard?
Just a dog, dude.
Yeah.
I was just
defense. You slapping the court, picking up motherfuckers full court,
dude. Grabbing jerseys and like you watch the NBA now, like so. One of our clients, Jamal, said like he's a dog. He gets away with like pulling and all these like random things. Whereas like any other guy who's a normal size is going to get called a foul. But like when you're shorter, they kind of just let it go. And then they're like, oh, little chunky Mexican kid. Like we're going to allow him to kind of just do what he needs to do.
Hell yeah.
So that was kind of my game. I just like picked up full court. I was usually trying to guard every guy as physical as I could. And I was just like a big 3 and D guy. Yeah. Right. So shoot the ball if I can, if I'm open for 3, and then just play super physical. So thought I was going to go pro. I literally thought I was going to go play at the University of Duke. Thought I was going to get a full ride there. My parents to this day, like we joke about it now, but they like never shot that down until actually like the first year in Austin. My dad was like with my buddies and we're like drinking, have a good time. And he's like, yeah, I knew that was never in the cards for you. But like, what am I going to do? What am I going to tell you? Like, hey, you're not going to make it, dude. Yeah. So in my head, I was like, well, if I don't go to Duke my senior year, I was like, I'll probably just go to Stanford. Yeah. Stanford's like, that's a cool school to go play at too. Like,
super easy to get into.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. Oh, they'll call.
They'll call. They haven't reached out. Actually, no one's reached out.
no one has reached out at all.
But they're going to reach out. I know they're looking at me. And so like, around that time I started realizing like reality kicked in, right? Like, okay, I think physical therapy will probably be the route then. Like, can kind of still stay involved, I'm sure, to some degree within sports, but just like not really playing. So went to school, still kept like interning. So even from like the age of 13 through graduating high school was still around there. And around like senior year of high school, the head PT was really cool about like, I mean, I don't know if this is like legal, but like, hey, they need to do like these like easy scapular like rows, or they got to do these YTWs. Like you can kind of like gently take them through, and like the physical therapist assistant will just kind of be like there really observing and watching. So got to be somewhat,
that's pretty dope.
Yeah, super cool. But again, like I had no idea at that point, like really like why we were doing it. Like, sure, we're doing this to build your shoulder, but like no understanding of like why. Yeah. College came around, again, going to be physical therapist, going to be PT. So like kept interning at really cool spots down south. And honestly, it was like my senior year of college where I met this really cool guy, Dan Kinney. I think he still runs like a practice in Southern California. And like his whole practice was like, yes, he's a physical therapist, but he really started to bring about like the holistic like aspect of like nutrition, stress, sleep, like breath work, like really understanding the whole body. I remember like one of the first days he like grabbed someone's like heels and kind of like started to like traction and like kind of like shake their body. And he was like, yeah, it's like their shoulder that they're complaining about, but I'm actually feeling something around their lower back, you know, like one of those kind of guys.
Right.
It was like, come and feel that. And I was like, dude, I have no fucking clue what
I'm
you're
pulling on this
talking
dude's
about.
heels, but I don't know what's happening right now.
This guy's size 13s. That's about all I know. Big fucking foot. That's all I know. So yeah, that kind of like sparked my, I guess, interest of like, well, like, how do you know this? And then that's when he was like fascia. And that was like the first time I kind of heard that. And I was like, okay, well, what the hell is this fascia thing? Had a colleague in college that was like way ahead of his time and was like, this thing called animal flow and like fascia and anatomy trains. And again, I remember picking up the anatomy trains book in college.
Jesus.
And I was like, dude, I feel like I have not learned anything in school. So yeah, I graduated, didn't get into any PT schools, just like I didn't get any D1 offers to go play hoops.
Yeah, brother.
And I was like, all right, well, whatever. Like, this is just going to be like the next journey. And then like, I still have like all this cool knowledge and experience. Like, I still want to be around hoops, still want to be around sports. So like, what's next? And so really cool. I had a mentor at the time in college. He helped me apply to East Tennessee State University.
Wow.
Got in for exercise phys. And then I also got into UT for the same thing. Took a visit at East Tennessee.
It's not Duke, but those two programs pretty good.
Not bad, dude.
Pretty fucking good.
Was it like Dr. Mike Stone?
Yeah,
that was
man.
like a really big deal there. And I remember my mentor was like, dude, like this is where I went to school. Like if you get in here, I could easily like plug you in with the sports team. Like you'll need to be in the lab for a little while to kind of like pay your dues, kind of like to allow you to get into how I really want you to get in more like the research side. But like I can get you more like hands-on with one of those sports teams. Like I know I can help. So I was like, okay, I took the visit. Dude, all I knew was California. Growing up in California, I'd take a flight to Johnsonville City, Tennessee.
See, I'm from Tennessee. I'm from Nashville.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, bro. And I've spent some time in the mountains.
Okay. So you know Johnsonville City.
I don't know Johnsonville City. I know enough about Appalachia to know that if you're from California,
dude,
it's probably not the vibe.
No. I mean, it was cool. It was cool. I was like, I mean, this is
like pretty for a weekend type shit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was like, this is cool, but like, I have a feeling that like, I don't know, like this might not be it right here for me. And that's no disrespect to anybody that lives in that area.
Shout out East Tennessee.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
I love it out there. I love the whole state. But I also completely understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Then
it's not a destination spot.
No, it's not. It's not. They did have a Chick-fil-A, which at that time I'd still never seen a Chick-fil-A in real life. Really? I'm sure there was some.
You'd only heard stories.
Only heard stories. So I had it for the first time, and I remember thinking on campus, I was like, I mean, the main reason I would probably come here, beyond just maybe being able to get involved with the D1 basketball stuff, Chick-fil-A is pretty damn good, insane. Dude. So
shout out Chick-fil-A.
Shout out Chick-fil-A, yeah. Thank goodness. But then literally like a week later, so I found out I got on that trip, I got into UT. So I was like, cool, well, let's go check out Austin.
Yeah.
My mom had a friend at the time that was, it's not Onnit anymore. It's Correct Life or Correct Fitness. Correct Fitness. There you go. She was like, he's the director of fitness there. He said he'd give you an internship if you go there. So I was like, cool, well, let's go check out Austin. Like, I've never been there. Came here for a week, stayed with him and another buddy of mine that was a coach there. And I was like, yeah, Austin.
This is way better. Yeah.
Took me out to 6th Street once and I was like,
it's over.
Wow, like there's a lot to do out here.
There's no 6th Street and Eastern Tennessee.
No.
There's not. No.
At least
not in the mountains. Not up there. Yeah.
So I was like, cool, make this transition. Came here after a month in grad school. So I got here like early summer. So I started like interning, getting my hands dirty right away.
Was it Cam Joss?
That's who it was? Joss was there.
Okay.
Who was big time. Like at first, to be honest, like he was like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah. I was just on his hip I had questions for him out the wazoo because I was just trying to soak up everything. Like being in grad school, getting ready to start grad school, like wanting to get involved in sports. He, Joe DeFranco, like the DeFranco's gym was still part of Onnit at that time. I had no idea what DeFranco's was.
Wow, what a legendary time to be there,
dude. Honestly, it was dope. Like looking back on it, was so lucky. I shit you not, for like the first 6 months, there was probably a certification that happened like every weekend and I got to go for free. I'm talking like everything from like the CPPS, right? Which I think is like what Joe DeFranco was doing. And then like FRC, and then like all the stuff that they do, Mark Chain, prehab, rehab.
They did an incredible job of, and like Mace Flow. I mean, they first of all, they had if memory serves me, basically every major certification on it did a wonderful job of prioritizing that
1000%
education and offering it And I at that same time was constantly looking to do continuing education. I was just in that phase of my development, and nothing ever came to Houston, save for USAW or shit like that.
Gotcha.
But Onnit was always the spot. So what the fuck is Onnit?
Yeah. Exactly. To be honest, I had no clue what Onnit was. My mom had got me some Alpha Brain, and that was the extent that I knew. And she was like, you just again, my mom is just she sparked so many cool things in my life, but she was like, I know you don't know what Onnit is, but I already told them you're going to intern there. So you're just going to intern. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go to grad school and I'll intern and we'll just make the best of it. So that first 3 months before I started grad school was just a ton of observing, dude. I'm talking I was on Cam Joss's hip. I was on the local trainers, doing just general population tip. Maybe even slightly backtrack the 3 months before I moved to Austin. That gentleman by the name of John Wolf, who was the director of fitness, actually owned a gym in my hometown, Salinas. And my mom actually helped him start that gym. So, I graduated college. He literally left that next month. I went back home for 3 months, and my mom was like, again, you're just going to work at this gym that I now own technically, and you're just going to work for free.
Holy shit.
She's like, but you're just going to show up every damn day, and you're just going to take every class that you can take, and you're just going to learn from these coaches because they're super smart. And that's where honestly, I think the foundation for everything that I kind of know and do today really started there, where it was 60, 50-year-olds that were coming off of PT that still wanted to do group fitness, but it was super scaled down. So think of we're going to do a heavy goblet squat, but we're going to learn how to make the most simplest regression in the world and take that for every simple movement you can think of, push, pull, carry, all the things, and tons of ground-based movement, tons of body weight movement. So I had a pretty good understanding. I still didn't know why we would implement those certain things, but I had a pretty good understanding of okay, if somebody can't do a goblet squat, these are the 3 or 4 regressions that maybe we can try to check out and see if they work. So fast forward to Onnit days, I mean, that demographic is 20, 30 young, 20, 30-year-olds just trying to get after it. Super fit place. Trying to get after it, trying to crush every class. So observed a bunch, started grad school, started working with some athletes at the same time within that first month. So I ended up dropping out of grad school within a month at UT.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to the program director. I was like, dude, look, I want to work with pro athletes. I have this opportunity over here to do it. I couldn't keep up with everything. I was also living in San Marcos, so that drive and stuff, dude. Oh, it was crazy. It was
for people who don't know, San Marcos is with no traffic, a 45-minute drive.
Yeah,
would you say that's fair?
True.
No traffic, and like any other major city, if you're trying to get to class is at 9 a.m. You're going to be sitting on I-35 here, and it's going to take you an hour and a half, hour 40, perhaps. I mean,
some days 2 hours to get.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. That's not sustainable.
No, it wasn't. And I think that's what all that stuff compounding. And I was I keep feeling I just need to give school a break. I know I'll keep learning. Because this is an interesting topic. And this is something Zach and I, when we started this podcast, one of the things that I felt made us a really good match is because Zach had gone the quote unquote traditional route where he did the schools, he did the internships, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And it was very by the book in terms of the collegiate sector, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, I dropped out of high school. I have 6 hours of college credits to my name. I did not get a degree. Shout out Nashville State Community College, though, for housing me for 1 semester. But yet I was able to progress by continually and relentlessly putting myself in positions to get experience.
For sure.
I'm not saying one is better than the other. Yep. I'm just saying that both pathways do exist. Yeah. But you were kind of confronted with this crossroads where you had gotten a degree, right? Yeah. You wanted to take it the next step, but then life circumstances kind of presented the opportunity.
Exactly.
How difficult of a decision was it? I mean, did you really deliberate over that? And also your mom, I'm sure was what are you doing?
No, all roads lead back to her. So for me personally, I felt there was no conflict internally. I knew that this was the path. Now, the second I brought that up to my mom, because full transparency, she was like, I will take care of this financially. You can go get your PhD and I will take care of everything financially.
She's got you.
She's got me. So I remember that phone call, and she was like not having it. I feel like I even had to like write. She wanted me to write a report. She wanted me to write a document of why I should be dropping out and what I'm going to do to still continue my education.
You didn't get away with a lot.
Nah. I'm in Austin, Texas. She's in Salinas, California, and she still got a choke chain on her.
100%.
Like goddamn, Mom. Let me live. I left the house.
Our moms could not be more different.
Really?
Brother, I could walk out. I'm not shitting you.
Yeah.
I could walk out of my house at 11 years old at 1 a.m. in the morning.
And she wouldn't care?
No questions asked.
Shit.
And I did. I did. There's pros and cons to both.
No, for sure.
I mean,
for sure. Yeah, we're still here. Right?
And here we are, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would imagine that conversation had to have been pretty intense.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
How did you? I mean, like, you know.
Yeah.
How did you impress upon her? And it was one of those things like she just wasn't happy, and you had to do.
No, for sure she wasn't, because she was like you took the sacrifice to leave. You're now like kind of by yourself. And I feel like maybe this is like even like a deeper like Mexican culture thing, being like fully Hispanic, full Mexican. Like all my family for the most part still lives like in the same city, right? So like where they grew up, they're still all there. So I feel like there's like this idea of like everyone kind of like stays together to some degree.
Yep.
So then like me leaving, I think it was kind of like oh shit, is he going to be able to like handle himself? And then, oh damn, you're telling me that you're going to like drop out.
Now the plan's changing?
Yeah, exactly. Like the structure that's kind of like there of like, well, you got class, you got days. I know where he's going to be on certain days and for the next 2 years or whatever. Like, so I think for her, she was a little worried that like I was just going to like go off the like party path.
Yeah, you were going to spend a little too much time on 6th Street.
Exactly.
Easy to do.
Dirty 6th.
Dirty is dirty out there. It is. It's dirty.
I'm not that dirty. Don't say me dirty. I'm not that dirty. So yeah, it was pretty intense. But I think honestly, she just realized like she called my boss at that time, John Wolf, and was like, "This is what he's thinking to do. Like, make sure his ass is like work him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like just make sure he's good there." And to be honest, man, like I've always been pretty like straightforward, very like analytical, very like, yeah, I'm gonna walk a straight path. You know what I mean? Sure, I might have a little fun here and there, but like I'm pretty locked in with my stuff in my routine, right? So I told her, hey, look, Mom, there's literally certifications happening here every single weekend. Like, I don't really do anything on the weekends except like go to certifications from like 8 to 6, Saturday, Sunday. Like, I'm good. Like, I promise you, I'll keep learning, and I'm around the environment that I want to be in, right? So we got past that. At that time too, I think just because of all that, John Wolf was like, well, you love education, you love to learn. So we have an in-house education team, right? So they would pull all these like Animal Flow, FRC, like all these cool certs, but then they had their own in-house certs, which honestly were amazing. Like the foundations course, which was like steel mace, steel club, kettlebell, body weight, sandbag, and like suspension rings, I think is what it all consisted of. And then they had like certifications for each one of those own disciplines. And so I remember him saying, okay, you're going to be like an assistant, like the third assistant for like the foundation course that like everybody will go through if they want to come to our system. And then you're going to do this thing called like durability, which is like mobility, recovery, restoration, like movement that restores rather than just like beat yourself up with 150 burpees or something, right? And so I was like, okay, I guess like, you know, at that time too, like everybody, like Cam Joss and a couple other trainers there were like, they were like the strength and conditioning coaches. So I think in my head, I was like, I can't really compete with them. Like they're legit. Like I can learn so much from them, and I will continue to do that. But like if I'm trying to find my own niche, like it's not going to be that. So that's kind of where I slowly started to gravitate towards like the mobility aspect, like the movement quality aspect. And then that's also where I started to really dive deep down, like the FRC principles. Mark Chang is like a really big into like rehab, prehab space, the Animal Flow kind of like body weight stuff. Some of like the more, again, fascia type of stuff. Like all that stuff was coming in-house. I was really trying to gravitate towards it, really trying to learn. And then that was kind of like my sector of like, okay, Cam Joss has the combine training, right? Or we're going to have this NFL combine training or off-season training here, which eventually got to Onnit. And like, again, I'm not going to compete with the strength and conditioning. Like, let me just see what you guys are doing, and then I'll just kind of complement it with these styles of training, because I'm not going to kill them. I'll just see what you're doing, and then I'll just kind of fill in the gaps where needed. But I did always know I wanted to be like a strength and conditioning coach. I wanted to handle the strength and conditioning piece for basketball athletes. Like that was my passion. That was my love. Like I know I could handle that because I, for myself, throughout this whole process, started to take more interest in like, well, if I train like this versus train like this, like how is my body responding? And I was still playing a ton of pickup hoop. I was like, wow, like I wish I had some of this structure and understanding of like programming when I was playing basketball, because I have seen my vertical go up. I've seen me, myself lose a lot of weight, my muscle mass start to kind of like reinnovate. So like, yeah, that was kind of, I guess, like the shift there. And then, man, I'm sure from there, I'm sure we could probably go down a lot of different rabbit holes, but some of the NFL guys started coming into the building. Again, doing a bunch of mobility stuff with them in the off season. Got to meet really cool people, like Earl Thomas was one of them. He was like, I like that I was a fashion, I still technically am. I don't know if I technically am still.
Still have your shirt.
I was about to say, a fascia stretch therapist, like on the table with the stuff. So was doing that with him, and he like loved that along with like the mobility piece. So he was, his last year in Seattle was like, come and travel Tuesday through Friday with me back in Seattle. And then again, that was like, cool. Like, I'm just going to do the mobility. You have your own strength coach. Perfect. I'll just handle that. Around that same time, one of my clients back at Onnit, because I was still doing a ton of general population stuff day to day. Like that was kind of how I was making my day to day
making money, making a living.
Thriving.
So that's you and I share that in common as well. Let me take you through what I did Monday. Okay. This past Monday. It was November 16th. When this airs, it'll probably be fucking January. But I had an Apple exec, Gen Pop client. Right. She's 36. Just wants to be hot. In her words, exactly. Hot right. She wants a big ass and she wants a tiny waist. And she jokes, she's like, I want Google Maps, can't find it. That's what okay, we have fun. She also, she's the closest thing to a sister, I think, I've ever had. Because we fucking fight. Really? We argue. She's the most argumentative. Anyway. I love her. I do. But so that's first client. Second client, college running back. Third client, Major League Baseball player. Fourth client, pro wrestler.
Sheesh.
The point is, though, every single day of my week starts with a Gen Pop client. And it has my entire career. I have learned so much more from training Gen Pop and the skills required to do that effectively and translating that over to high performance than I have the other way.
No, it's actually a really good point to put it, because I feel like with athletes and like athletic performance, you're like pretty dialed into like, okay, well, I only have so much time with you for the most part. Need to be like super strict on what we're doing. I need to make sure that all roads are leading back towards like you being able to perform in your specific set of demands within your sport, right? Whereas like you said, with like the Gen Pop, could kind of get away with almost anything to some degree. And then you can kind of test out a lot of like, you know what, I kind of want to do this with some of our athletes, but I'm not quite sure how they're going to respond or how it's going to make them feel. So it is kind of like a good little testing ground too, right? One of my many isms and cliches is, if you can teach an 80-year-old how to hinge for the first time, you can do anything. True.
When it comes time to the guy who's 6'8", you're gonna be all right.
I agree. That's a really good way to put it.
So okay, so you're grinding it out. You're doing the grind. You're doing you're hustling your ass off. You're doing education. You're basically getting in where you can fit in.
1,000%.
Right. You're putting yourself in a position to be as involved as you possibly can. And here's what I'm hearing in this story that I think is probably in my opinion, the biggest takeaway. You had enough humility to say, honestly, here's where I can provide value right now. I'm not going to be Cameron Joss, right? I can't be him right now, but here's where I can learn. And then, so you're having the humility to understand that. And then being committed and dedicated enough to actually follow through on that and be that guy.
That's
true. That is very impressive.
No, I agree. Especially because at that time, like I'm still to this day, like I'm not extremely mobile. I'm not like, never been like bendy and like yoga, never did yoga like growing up or anything. So like, I think why I gravitated towards like, okay, conceptually, let me think about where I can fit in. Okay, no one's talking about or doing mobility here. I'll just kind of do some of that stuff. But then for me, it was such a huge challenge. Like I've always been like so like muscularly like bound and like stiff.
Yep.
So a lot of that shit was just super challenging. And so for me, just like you, like if I see a challenge, it's on.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this thing. Let me figure out how far I can take it. Because if like I can do it and I can kind of walk the journey, then I can help somebody do the same thing. And I feel like when you walk the journey, like that perspective that you're able to speak to with your clients is like, them saying like, oh, well, this is what I'm going through, kind of giving like the journal debrief of the day. It's like, I know exactly how you feel. And I know exactly what you're talking about because like I was just there 6 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it may be. So I think that is super valuable too. So yeah, dude, grinding it out. I'm talking like, 15-hour days, like no joke, like, 5 classes a day, 8 one-on-ones a day, somehow doing a 45-minute workout for myself every day. Sometimes even doing like double day workouts for no reason, like just hammering through. But again, like it was such a cool environment on it, man. It was like, Joe Rogan comes in, and then it's like the WWE wrestler comes in, and then like, Deshaun Watson was coming in like his rookie year, and then it's like, whatever. And then eventually a couple NBA guys came in, but like you just get so many different like walks of life that it was like so refreshing. Like I think who else came in? It wasn't Sublime. Damn, like super cool like artists were coming in too, where it was like, this is dope. And like literally like I'd be in the middle of a workout and the manager would come in and be like, hey, so-and-so is about to drop in, like, can you take care of him? And we're like, yeah,
the answer's yes.
I'll for sure take care of that guy. Like, and so it was dope, dude. It was like a melting pot of all the cool things. Said yes to literally everything. At that time too, like kind of somewhat fast forward-ish of like, got to meet some really cool people that were like in the music industry. So like I got to do a really cool situation where Taylor Swift's tour is managed by like a huge company. And the girl that kind of was involved with that was in one of our group classes that I had no idea what she did. And she was like, do you want to come on tour with Taylor Swift and like train her and the dancers? And I was like, I think so. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but I think she's pretty big.
This sounds like a good opportunity.
You tell me there's a chance. So I just jumped. And granted, it was weird at that time because I was technically on salary, which was really, really cool at Onnit. So it was like an interesting thing to try to navigate. I'll kind of fast forward through that story too, but it was like, I basically had the opportunity to kind of be with them on her whole Reputation tour in like 2018.
Whoa.
But then it kind of reached a point where, and it sucks kind of that this was a deal, but like if I just kind of kept my mouth shut and just kind of kept going with the flow while I was out there with them, I think I would have ended up following through and been on tour for as long as they would have liked me to.
Yeah.
But my work at the time was kind of giving me like the hard ball, like it's them or us. I remember at that time, dude, I'm like 23 years old. I'm like, dude, what if they tell me to like in a week that like they don't need me
no
anymore?
salary,
and then I don't have a salary job, and then like what am I
you're stuck with
do?
Taylor Swift on tour. Is this a long-term thing?
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Wow, that's intense. 23
dude.
years old.
Dude.
Also, what fucking lore you have, brother? That is insane.
That's dope.
That is so cool.
I know.
That is very cool.
I've done some pretty cool. Shout
out Taylor Swift.
Shout out
you know what I'm saying,
dude. I started listening to her Reputation album just because I was on tour.
Hell yeah,
that album was pretty
Listen,
dope,
if she asked me to go on tour and train her, I'd put 1989 in.
Yeah, exactly.
Give a fuck. Yeah,
exactly. So I did that. Came back and they were like, okay, well, we need to figure this out just in case this ever happens again. Like, it probably won't happen again, but whatever. Still doing the grind. Then a couple NBA guys come in. And it was really cool because for those certifications for Onnit, specifically durability, we were getting tons of like physical therapists, strength and conditioning coaches from the NBA. I don't really know how or why. I think honestly, like the supplement business was involved. Some of our supplements were involved with like their nutrition staff. And I think they were like, hey, we have certifications and y'all can come. So I think that's how they kind of started trickling in.
Smart.
And honestly, like, I was just super lucky that I was able to start leading a bunch of the pieces for durability.
Yeah.
And I started getting a lot of credibility in those eyes of the PTs. So then now in the off seasons, when they're like, oh, you're in Austin, you're in San Antonio, go to Onnit and
work with Cristian.
Exactly. And that's literally what happened with two of them. One of them was on the Thunder. He was coming off of a crazy knee injury that happened in season. He'd gone through multiple surgeries and rehabs with the team and other people, I believe, and it just wasn't getting to the space of him kind of returning to play. And then another one was, he was kind of injured, but wasn't really, kind of like in this middle space. I guess every athlete is kind of
like perpetually
injured.
hurt. Yeah.
But it was just like, hey, you're living in Austin, go train with Cristian. Again, it reached a point during that time where they wanted me to kind of start working with them, potentially traveling with them. Okay, are you here with us or are you going to be here with them because you're on salary?
Right.
And that is kind of where I made like the big jump, where I was like, okay, like, these are the two NBA guys. I've always wanted to work with NBA people. Like, I think this is like it right here. So ended up leaving Onnit in 2018-ish, I believe. Started my business, Durable Athlete, at that time with my girlfriend, Natalie. And it was really cool. We got the Oklahoma City Thunder player. We got him. And I don't know what metrics they used, but they had at that time, and I was not using force plates or anything scientific whatsoever. It was just like, I think this is going to be a good program and this is where we're going to go. And I'm going to get a lot of subjective feedback from you every single day. And we'll just kind of pivot where needed. But I think from what I remember them saying like we couldn't get him past like a 70% return to play. And again, I don't know how they came up with that number.
Right.
And I remember a month before the season starting, he was at 90% return to play.
Wow.
And I remember the head guy who's still there to this day, AP Andrew Paul, was like, what the hell did you, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'll share my program with you. I mean, I don't know. I'm doing a bunch of FRC shit, doing some animal flow shit, doing some shit with the kettlebells, and like we're doing some stuff with the belt squat. Like I'm kind of just doing what I think to be correct. So it was a really cool opportunity around that time. They asked me to go do a workshop for their medical and for their performance training staff in Oklahoma City. I was probably the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life because I'm like 24 years old, which I'm like imposter syndrome. You know what I mean?
Totally,
like,
of course.
Do I even deserve to be here? Like,
14 months ago, you were going to go on tour with Taylor Swift, and now you're at the Oklahoma. You're doing a fucking seminar for the Thunder,
dude. Which at that time they were, they're kind of like in a rebuilding phase because KD and think Westbrook had just left. Yeah, because I think Chris Paul was on the team.
Okay.
So yeah, did the workshop. It was a blend of kind of like the Onnit system, the durability system, the things I've learned there. And then again, just a blend of like the FRC, animal flow, kind of just like movement stuff that I had done in the past. I need to locate that program. I thought about that this morning. Like, it'd be really cool to go back and look like, what the hell did I do?
Yeah.
But yeah, did that. That went really well. And then around that time, I realized I wasn't able to start traveling with
What year is this, by the way, so people know?
2019.
Okay.
2019. 2019 is right before COVID, year before COVID. I was like, cool. Well, I didn't end up traveling with this NBA guy like I thought. I'm back in Austin. I don't have my salary job. Like, I was kind of shitting myself, to be honest.
Classic, by the way.
Super classic.
Because I've had multiple conversations with names I shall not drop of pro athletes who've been like, I'm bringing you with me. And I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, 100%.
You're my dog.
I'm bringing you with me. And then they get into season and it's like, all right, I'm getting the flights. Let's do this. By the way, your idea. And then it's like crickets.
Which is like...
It's like part of the... It's like one of those things, if you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of the game. It's part of the deal.
Part of the game, dude.
It really is.
Go through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at first, you're like,
the first time I was a little... My feelings were a little hurt. I was like, damn, for real?
Sure.
And then after the second or third time, I was like, this is
normal.
This is what it is, dog. Yeah. Then you talk to other people. Yeah.
You find out that it's pretty damn
this
common,
is just that.
Right? Oh, it's normal. Okay, cool.
Cool. Cool.
Back in Austin, training in this, shout out Zach Zillner.
Yeah.
Coach Z introduced me to one of his boys that had a super small gym, State Line Gym. Are you familiar with State Line Gym?
So I'm familiar with it because of Zach.
Okay, exactly.
Yes.
At that point, he had just opened it up. Think of like the most garage gym you could ever think of. No AC. Austin is hot and humid as shit, so it's summertime. It is almost not impossible. It's very hard to locate. So like I remember clients had a hard time I had a hard time finding it, but like that's where I kind of was doing some clients and doing my business. And I remember like I was not making a lot of money at that time. I was really stressed out. I was like, I don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then around that time, I just started reaching out to every basketball training program or whatever you could find in Austin. Anything that was basketball, Austin, I'm going to copy and paste the same message to you and say, this is what I am, this is what I do, and I want to get down with you, basically.
Yep.
Thankfully, 2 people responded. One of them was, Zach Urbanus over there
Yep.
before now, BTY basketball. And I was like, let's meet up. He was like, I have this idea of starting this basketball academy, basically an hour of skills, an hour of strength training. And I was like, well, shit, I'm down. Like, sounds like you have a lot of kids you train. I don't really have a lot of high school basketball kids. I had like 2 high school kids, I think, at that time. And so I was like, I don't know how much I'm really bringing to the table, but he was like, I don't care. Like, we're going to do this thing the right way. And so, okay, we set up all the things. It's going to be sick. It's going to be 2020. We're going to kill this thing.
Oh, shit. Classic.
Boom, COVID. As that's all happening, as it's all evolving, we're like, okay, well, I can't really train people in person anymore. We just put down this pretty big payment for rent, and apparently we're not going to be able to get it back. Yeah, classic tenants, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, sweethearts they are.
Dude.
And so that was happening. And then honestly, thankfully, that guy was like, I don't really care. Like, y'all can come in through the back door because I'm not going to refund you.
Right.
So, and we're like, cool. Everybody's home right now.
Yeah.
Which was really a blessing. Like, all the colleges sent their dudes home. All the high school kids were at home.
Oh,
so that really just...
You had the secret spot to get some real training in.
No, it wasn't happening anywhere else in Austin. So if you were training elsewhere, you were coming in. And then honestly, I remember after that first day, it was just like, it was nuts, dude. It was like, I remember everybody being like, this is it right here. Like, this is special. Like, I don't have to drive across town anymore. And then I remember at that time, everyone was like, and then all this weird shit that we're doing in the weight room with like the crawling and the like the mobility and stuff. Like, I thought it was weird, but honestly, like, my body feels great. So like, let's do this thing. Like, let's keep this thing rolling. So we did that for, I don't know, 8 to 10 or 12 weeks or so. At that time, the junior NBA actually reached out, like, so random, and was like, well, you guys put together, me and my wife, an online workout program for like 3 months or something. Again, new income that we didn't think we were going to have. And we were like, dude, this just changed. Like, thank goodness. Like, thank God, man. That was just like a blessing from above, honestly. So all those things are kind of just happening at the same time. Things are going great. COVID kind of gets uplifted. Our program just takes off. High school kids love what we're doing. And then that's probably like 2020, 2021-ish. And then around, 2022, we're like, okay, well, let's just amplify this thing. And so we slowly started getting some NBA guys, slowly started getting some college guys that like were making it to the NBA. And then high school kids that were kind of evolving into like the D1, D2 space. And then honestly, man, like, our basketball programs is still going to this day. We are finally, after 5 years, moving into our home-based gym inside the Westlake Athletic Center in Austin.
Sick.
It's going to be dope, dude. Honestly, it's not going to be a huge facility. It's not going to be able to cater to everybody, but it's just, we're going to focus on youth and high school athletic performance training.
Yeah.
Like, sure, if I have a one-on-one, maybe I'll see you there for like a gen pop, but like, C4 will be the home base for everything NBA, pre-draft, and all that stuff. But like all of the other high school and the group baseball training and the group travel volleyball training, like, that's going to be what we're going to focus on there, which is dope. Yeah. We're just going to make the most of it. We finally have a space that we can call our home base. And so, I guess I'll just highlight cool things that have happened on the way so I don't go on forever. But one of my clients in the music industry was able to start rubbing shoulders and met and worked with like Drake. Classic one. I'm gonna take you with me.
Right.
I'm taking you with me. Here's my manager's number.
Yeah.
Y'all send your passport.
Someone get him an owl chain.
Yeah.
Someone get him an OVO chain.
That's all I needed. He just gave me that. That's
just
enough.
give me the chain.
You won't see me again. I'm pawning that shit. I'm living in Cabo. And then like a month later, got to do the same thing with Kendrick. Same thing. Send the passport because we're going to Europe. And so I guess it's still on the table. We never know. They randomly will text me every now and then. Where are you? Any way you can get here? I can get there. Yeah. Oh, no, never mind.
Yeah.
So to this day, it's just like the cool random stuff that'll pop up like that. I mean, man,
I do.
You end up rubbing shoulders. You end up training cool people that do cool shit, and they're like, you're a cool person. I'll introduce you. You do cool, unique work. Like, you can help them out. And then, man, Basketball Academy is crushing it. We work with a bunch of different sports now, a bunch of different high schools in town. And that's kind of like the niche I think we're slowly carving out is we have 6 amazing coaches on staff that are handling most of that work day to day. So they do private training clients for us, GP and high school and middle school kids. We do a bunch of like, hey, whatever lacrosse or whatever baseball, whatever team at this school wants to start doing some training. We go to them, we train them. But now that we have a home base, we're slowly going to kind of be like, pushing people to go in there.
So awesome.
It's kind of where we are at today.
I'm also really looking forward because I know you're going to be doing combine prep at C4 right on the heels when my combine prep ends. And I've done basketball combine prep for, let me tell you what, training talented basketball players for the vert might be one of my favorite things on planet Earth.
Yeah.
It is just so cool to watch.
Facts.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by friend of the show, David Gray of David Gray Rehab, creator of the absolute game-changing foot, ankle, and Achilles program. To date, it's helped over 8,000 people, including Zach and myself, get back to running, jumping, and playing pain-free. This program isn't just for athletes. It's also been used by coaches and physios in the NFL, NBA, and Premier League, as well as every other major sport. And if that wasn't impressive enough, you can get the full program 15% off lifetime access when you click the link in the show notes and use code TIM at checkout. The Coach 'em Up podcast has partnered with Eleiko.
Let's go!
Not only is Eleiko found in 85% of Power 5 schools, but they also offer at-home solutions from racks, flooring, rigs, barbells, bumper plates, your favorite accessories like straps and weightlifting belts, you name it, Eleiko's got you covered. Go to eleiko.com/coachemup and get access to the same equipment that they're using in the best facilities with the best athletes on the planet.
And now, back to the show.
How old are you now?
Just turned 33.
God.
Yeah, Kobe year.
Dude, you are fucking killing it. You've done it. I mean, really, it's and the amount of time you've been able to do it. But what I hear in your story is like, again, another one of my isms is suddenly doesn't happen all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And like you're at this place where Kendrick's fucking texting you, being like, "Hey, when are we gonna train?" You're like, "Never, dude. You know that. Okay, you keep bullshitting me, right?" You've got this basketball academy that's thriving. You're working with NBA guys all the way to the highest recruited high school athletes, particularly in this area, right?
Yeah.
But like, what I hear is just years of doing whatever it took to situate yourself to be in a position to be helpful for as long as possible, and a lot of yeses.
Probably too many yeses to be looking back at it.
Yeah. But I bet you wouldn't trade it for the world.
No, agreed. Facts. Yeah.
And, I think it's so easy for me to look back because I did the same thing. It's the same but different.
No, for sure.
And that was the only way I was able to get to where I wanted to go. Like I had to be that person, particularly because I didn't have the traditional education. In fact, if anything, I had this overwhelming sense of like inadequacy.
Damn.
Where because I felt like if I wasn't doing everything I could to situate myself to be as useful or as good of a coach as possible and take advantage of every learning situation, that I had it in my mind that I was automatically behind the ball.
Yeah. And yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, because on one end, it's like, that's kind of like a tough situation to put yourself in mentally.
Yeah, true.
However, my survivorship bias tells me that, like, fuck, it's a good thing I did that.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I was willing to do that. And so I guess all that to say to anybody listening who you feel like you hear that part of Christian's story or my story and you're like, fuck, when is it going to happen? I don't know, man. I don't know. But I can tell you, I've seen it happen enough. If you're continually putting yourself in a position to say yes and to continue to get better and you're relentless about that. And I want to hear your take on this, Christian.
Yeah.
A lot about getting to where you want to be in this space, the performance space, no matter what your sport is, whether the goal is to train Taylor Swift or it is to work with, it's a war of attrition, man.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I mean, yeah, especially if you want to like support a family and like, build something. And I know that's like to each their own, like what is enough and what is wealthy and what is, all that. That's, again, to each their own with all that. But yeah, man, like so interesting too, because especially with social media, like it's really easy to compare sometimes too and be like, oh, this dude is working with these crazy athletes and he gets to travel with them. Like, this guy?
Right.
Like, really? Why not me? Like, I've been doing this for X amount of years and I've done this, sir. But it's like, yeah, it's not up to you, to be honest. Like, there's just so many things that need to happen. And like,
it's so true.
It's like, I always feel like, and I've really told myself this because specifically like the Kendrick situation. So being from California and then went to school in Southern California, like, I like feel like I knew Kendrick before, like I listened to Kendrick before anybody knew Kendrick. Like I was a day one fan. So when that thing happened and they were like, yeah, send the passport and what's your day rate? And like really we're going through like logistics and I'm like, holy crap, like I think my life is about to change right now. Like I'm telling my wife like, hey, like I know we're about to have our first kid, but like, I like this is gonna be crazy. Like, and then like, like you just like I'm at the top of it. I'm at the top of the top, and I'm like, this is gonna be amazing. Like everything's gonna change now, and then boom.
Yeah.
And then I'm like back in reality. Yeah. Back to like the day to day, and I'm kind of back into like, what do I need to do to be successful now? Right? Like it's a weird mental space to be, I guess. Like when you're hoping that like your hit is gonna happen and it's gonna come, and like that day and that client is gonna change your life, but. I feel like I always tell myself like everything happens it's so cliche, but everything happens like for a reason and you oftentimes don't know why. You don't know what the life lesson it is and everything, but like there is a life lesson like in every no to some degree, right?
100%. 100%. I mean, even in your story, I think about, you ultimately kind of being put in a tough spot, but not continuing on with the Rumors tour.
Yeah.
Right? But, like you could also say, like, had you done that, do you have this basketball academy? Or you? I don't know, probably not.
Yeah, because I'm probably not pushed into like this area of like I need to figure this out. I could just chill in this hotel room.
Kicking it.
Keep making a bunch of money and not even be doing anything. Yeah, no, 100%, man.
So I want to dig into the durability aspect, and this is something that I've seen with a lot of court-based athletes, where it does seem that the people who are doing it at the highest level do spend more time focusing on ground-based and body weight and more awareness-based movement.
Yeah.
In addition to traditional strength and conditioning stuff.
For sure.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment, first of all?
100%.
Would you say I'm accurate in that?
I think it's becoming... Yeah, I think it's definitely becoming more of like a well-known aspect for these athletes. I think social media is probably a huge piece of that. I'm sure they get small doses with like their strength and conditioning coaches within the NBA as well. College, I think there's some great collegiate strength coaches out there, but I think maybe certain top level college coach or college strength and conditioning coaches within basketball are still in some of that more conventional realm. But yes, like the body weight aspect, man, I mean, to be honest, my whole perspective on that situation, just from a philosophy standpoint, I guess, is like, and I didn't create this. I feel like if anything, I piggybacked this off of like some of the stuff that I learned within like FRC and Dr. Ospina is like better inputs, the better inputs we can receive. So like the more we can feel our hip in internal rotation, external, whatever said position and range of motion, like the more we can feel, like, so then the better communication is going to our brain, then therefore like the better and cleaner, like the more efficient the output is going to be, right? So like I can help you jump higher by simply just giving you more access and more, not even so much more range of motion, but like more access to utilizing more of the tissues around your hip, ankle, whatever joint you want. And so a lot of times too, like athletes are coming off of a long season. Their bodies are beat up. Most weight training, maybe not all of it, most of it is like compressive based, right? And you still need that. Like I'll never sit here and be like, oh yeah, conventional strength training is like overrated. Like no, you need to rebuild tissue, to get tendons back into like their state to where they're ready to go perform. Like you need that conventional loading. But also, again, going back to like the Onnit days of like, well, what are you like not getting enough of, right? And chances are when they're in season, at least when I talk to some of our guys, like they're doing more of the conventional stuff because they're just trying to stay afloat. Like, can we just maintain a certain level of tissue quality? Can we like maintain a certain amount of strength output, right? Or force output. So for us in the off season, like I want to open them up a little bit into like, hey, I can help you feel more elusive and athletic, and just there's something to be said about just like feeling better in your body. Like, oh, I can bend now and it doesn't feel like as restrictive, or it doesn't feel like there's that much like as much work that needs to be done to like get into that position. Like, I want them to see how they could feel that by just doing what would look like simple body weight exercises like on the ground.
But for a guy who's 6'8", with an incredibly long wingspan, what we may say a simple body weight ground-based exercise, and you watch for them interacting with the floor, it's a totally fucking different ball game. Because I've seen you doing it, and can I give you like a little rundown of some of the archetype of some of like a session? You do a wonderful job of threading the needle between dosing performance-based stuff, actually sprinting your hoopers. By the way, you gotta love it, okay? He actually sprints his guys. A lot of movement variability, but you also do a great job of, you know, and again, this is total outside perspective of getting some traditional strength training stuff, plenty of isometrics, plenty of ground-based and movement-based stuff that you're not going to get under any other circumstance. Like you were doing the drill the other day where the goal was to completely like roll over, but without any other part of your body touching the ground. Right?
That was fun.
And I don't know who you were working with, but he was a big dude. Incredible athlete, right? But I'm watching him, he's shaking like a leaf on a tree. Now look, that's not indicative itself of like quote unquote good.
Yeah, facts. True.
However, I can't help but think to myself, I'm like, he is being challenged in a way that he's not being challenged at any other point in time, particularly with the demands of basketball. But here he is, he's getting an opportunity to interact with the floor and challenge shoulder and hip and ankle joints in a way that he isn't going to any other way. And if not for nothing, fully engaged.
Oh, you have to be.
You have to be fully engaged. How much of that goes into your thinking when you're programming this stuff too? Like, is there an element where it's like there's also a mental component to that?
1000%. So here's what I will say. I'll say early on. So think about like the guy from the Thunder that I was working with. I probably did, like looking at it now, I probably did too much of like that type of stuff, which again, to each their own. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was a reason why he was able to get back to a certain space. But like, I think early on it was like, this is what's nobody doing. This was like what nobody's implementing within their program. So I'm going to be.
You had the secret sauce. You had the secret sauce.
Like F squatting. You don't need to squat, which obviously we were squatting. We were still doing the things. But like, I was almost trying to make it like a point of like, I can get you more athletic without doing all that other stuff.
Any of that stuff.
But then obviously as more time goes on, it's like we get pulled one way and then we're like, nah, hold on. Let me
reel that in just a little bit.
The truth is in the middle somewhere. But yeah, I think like, so like where we are now, like how much of that goes into in terms of like the mental piece. I think that's huge, man. I think that like you have to be engaged when you're doing something novel, right? So like if you, I don't know, if you told me to go try to hit a 50-mile-per-hour baseball and I haven't swung a baseball bat in forever, like I'm probably going to be pretty damn locked into like, okay, damn, like, you know, where's my grip? We're like I got to really be engaged into what I'm doing and how I'm going to get straight to the ball. So, and I think that a lot of times like athletes kind of just get stuck in like the motions of like, oh, we're doing RDLs. Dope. I know how to do RDLs. And even then,
lying leg curl.
I've done that.
Got it.
And it's still super valuable. And even within that context, I still think that there's so much like low hanging fruit, because within like the Onnit durability system, one thing that they really tried to hang their hat on was like, okay, you know how to do a hinge, but you know how to do the hinge your way on autopilot. I need to take you out of autopilot and make you realize that like you're actually not articulating from the more efficient spaces that could actually be stressing different portions of your hamstrings, quad, or whatever set area that we're trying to work through. So I still think that like, even within some of our conventional stuff, I still try to get them outside of like their autopilot, even if it's just, I'm going to put, and this is like taking stuff from like some of like David Gray. Fucking love David Gray stuff.
Shout out David
Shout
Gray.
out DGR, dude. We've never met.
So good.
Never met him before in my life. I know you guys are obviously super close.
He's going to do a workshop. And,
really?
Oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to say that. Anyway, I can say this. I'm doing everything I can to make sure he does a workshop in 2026 at the C4 Performance Center. I'll just say that.
I'll be the first person to sign up.
Same.
He's legit, but like putting a little wedge in certain spots. So now it's like, oh, well, this feels a little different. Like just like making them have to like think about certain movements and getting them outside of their autopilot just makes it like more engaging and makes it a completely different exercise. So yes, the mental piece of like you're talking about that drill, being in a bridge, doing like an under switch to get to like a plank, like don't let your hip touch the ground. You're like, well, fuck, I don't really know how to like make that. So it's like that constraint, I guess if you want to call it that constraint of like, hey, do this, but don't let this happen.
Right.
Just makes it, I think, a little bit more engaging for everybody. Get more out of it.
So over the course of your career, basketball, S&C in general, right? Because like when you and I first were interested, we're about the same age. I'm 35. When I was first getting my opportunities to train people, here were the thoughts, okay? It was, and forgive me for everyone who's heard this before, I'll fly through it. Machines are bad. All of them.
Yeah.
If you do bodybuilding movements like machines, you're going to be a bodybuilder. Bad. If you do rep ranges, 10 to 15, that's also a bodybuilder, and that's bad.
Yeah.
Everything had to be quote unquote functional. All of it. Everything, no matter what, or else you're an idiot and you're just a meathead moron, right?
Yeah.
And so those are like some general overarching things. But then also, like there were within the context of like court sports, and then like particularly in the space of football, it was like the cultures around strength training historically pretty different, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk about what it was like for you in the beginning of, working with court sport athletes, basketball players in particular? What was the general sentiment and philosophy at large around the way training should look? And how has that shifted? And how has your own personal philosophy paralleled that?
Man. So here, I think it went in phases, and I think it was also dependent upon like the people I was around and trying to learn from, right? Which, by the way, at some point I got to mention Zillner and his whole how I met him, how he brought me into the loop within being an intern at UT with girls basketball and all that. But perfect example of that is like, and it wasn't Zillner himself, but he came from more of like the Olympic lifting background, right, with Hootie.
Yep.
So you have like that aspect. And I remember a lot of times, and even from hearing what the gentleman from the Thunder was doing with the Thunder, was like, we're doing a little bit more of this conventional strength training, and we need to like really load them up, or we're doing more of the conventional Olympic lifts. And it serves its purpose because it's shown, scientific research shows you'll get more powerful, and you have to be able to express all these different qualities, and they're going to give you these adaptations, and that's what you need for basketball. And it's like, yes, 1000%. And then I feel like for a little while, it then went into like this functional, like if it's not functional, kind of what you said. If it's not functional, if you're using a dumbbell instead of a kettlebell, or if you're using a barbell instead of a kettlebell,
right,
then that's wrong.
Moron.
You're going to stiffen him up.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to rotate.
Exactly.
And he's not going to make $1 million next year. You're like,
exactly.
Damn, okay. So like, I think being around different individuals, I think when I was younger, it was like, oh, okay, no, well, that guy's been in this field for a long time, so he's right. Like, that's got to be right. So whatever he's against, well, then that's the devil. Then that's bad.
Right.
We shouldn't be doing that. That's the devil, Bobby.
Yeah. Shout out, Bobby.
Yeah.
Shout out, Bobby Boucher.
Yeah. If you know, you know. If you don't,
don't worry
turn
about
off
it.
the podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think and then also again, there was a little while I was like, machines are bad. Like I remember like machines were terrible. Like, why would you ever do a machine?
Yeah, dude, you're fucking stabilizers.
Yeah.
How are you going to use them?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Yeah. When are you ever going to do this? When are you going to extend your knee on a basketball court? Like that would never happen.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that it's kind of come in waves. And again, I think every coach that I was able to be around had their own system or had their own philosophy and had their own system and system of beliefs. And the really interesting part is they were all able, to some degree, able to get to a successful space for all their clients.
Yeah.
Like they were able to help them out and get them feeling better and performing at a higher level. Now, where is it now? Again, I think the truth is always like in the middle. Like, are machines the only thing? No. But they're useful. And I use them, and I think we should 1000% use them. Is whatever the hell functional training is functional training better than conventional training? Like, sure, but probably not sometimes. Like maybe you want to load them up in a very conventional manner sometimes and follow somewhat of a linear periodization model, for some weeks or for some months or whatever it may be. again, body weight. Do all the weird body weight, animal flow, weird things on the ground. Like, should we always be doing that? I don't know about always, but like we should be doing it to some degree. Like it's a great method to be able to challenge them in a variety of ways and can help you get to a successful point. So I also think there's more people that are interested in seeing like Coach Matt Aldridge at the University of Michigan now. Coach Henry Barrera, who's at Alabama. I think he's at Alabama. Pretty sure he's at Alabama. Like, I don't feel like I remember Hootie was the GOAT, and she was the person that was in men's basketball and was like doing things. Coach Zillner to me was like the GOAT, and although he might have been in girls sports, he could have carried that over into men's sports, and obviously he's doing it right now at the University of Miami. So like everybody I think was like doing their thing, and they had their ways of doing it. And they're all right, I guess, in their own ways to some degree. So
yes.
I think it probably still stands true and will forever stand true is like being dogmatic in your approach, I think is like the one wrong thing.
Yeah.
If you're saying this is the way and it's only this, then I'm like,
red flag.
Yeah, probably not.
Red flag.
I could probably contest that to some degree.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it was. I want to say it was Joe Padula was on the show, and he said something that I just resonated with. Is like he's always been fascinated by how so many people can do things so differently, and yet everyone can still get really good results.
100%.
And that was all that for me has also been something that's been like. Because I went through those periods, of course, like particularly early on where I was like, oh, yep, this is the one way to do it. Or West Side.
Yeah.
Period. Conjugate method. It's the conjugate method over everything else. Everything else is stupid. And then it's like I found triphasic and I'm like, triphasic or get fucked. There's nothing. This is the pinnacle of training. You know, and like my experience has shown is like is kind of what you were alluding to, where it's like there is no context. Ultimately, is the thing that should probably inform us the most, right? What's appropriate right now for the outcomes that we're trying to achieve. You know, something that now, and this is every sport, but basketball is one of those sports where it's like I feel like an extreme example of early specialization. And kids are being asked to play year round at a really high level, earlier and earlier. And to the point now where it's like, you know, the expectation is that if you're going to go play at the next level, and certainly if you have any dreams of playing in the league, you're not playing other sports. No. Like it's basketball.
100%.
And it's basketball all the time. And for you having front row seats to that, can you talk a little bit about the pros and cons? Because I think like the easy thing to do right now is to dunk on early specialization because there are a lot of glaring problems, right?
Facts, yeah.
However, like I think it's easy because it's, you know, this is the thing that we do in our industry, by the way. We all find something that most of us can agree is like bad. And then like you hear like 80,000 people make their own version of the same post talking about how demonic early specialization is. And it's like, and then everyone just sits around. It's like this giant circle jerk and everyone slaps each other on the back. Like, that's right, dude. Fuck early specialization. And but we do this with so many other topics, and it's just like I just get sick of the whole rigmarole, I guess is what I'm getting at. But anyway, rant over. So, but there are pros, and there are definitely, of course, cons. So, what do you see? What are your instincts telling you? And then any suggestions, recommendations?
Lots of suggestions and recommendations. So just the first, I guess, initial thought that comes from that is, yes, like you're expected to play a year-round travel ball to some degree, unless you go into high school. When you go into high school season, they usually will stop playing travel ball. But yeah, you got to go play for the best teams, and they're usually going to practice. They're going to kill you. They're just going to kill you certain days because like, this is like the reputation of the best travel team in Texas. And so like, if you show up and we're soft and we're not doing conditioning until like, if people don't walk in and see you on the ground, like it's still run by like this old school mentality of like more is always going to be better. And if we're doing more,
well, we out practiced everybody else. So we're definitely going to be better.
and then half the team can't fucking play that next weekend.
Cooked.
You know what I mean? And honestly, I feel like I went through that. And again, that's not the reason why I didn't make it. I mean, maybe it is. Who knows? You never know.
You never know.
But like,
probably not.
Yeah, probably not. I just probably never grew. That's probably the issue. Couldn't make an open layup for jack shit. That's probably why I didn't make it.
Smoking layups since 06. Yeah.
Classic.
Hell yeah, brother.
So yeah, like there's like, unfortunately, people that are still in the leadership roles for that demographic right now is just, more is better. And we're just going to keep doing more because if we're not outworking our opponents, then like we're never going to be able to beat them. Right. So I think what comes along with that, in my opinion, is like a lot of athletes aren't even able to really see their true potential. And what is true potential? Like skill, like physical outputs, like, all of the above. Like, I don't think they're really able to realize those things because they're always so overtrained.
Yeah.
And and on top of that, like they're so overtrained, they don't really have a consistent like weight room routine. And again, like when I say weight room routine, I'm talking about selfishly, like the routine that I would like to implement, which is like a variety of things, right? Some sprinting, some body weight, some conventional stuff, some isometric stuff, some machine stuff. Like, because they're not doing like this form of like cross training and doing other sports and doing these different patterns, like I look at the weight room as kind of that. And that's why I like some of the body weight stuff, is because it's like, sure, that's not a sport, but I'm just going to expose you to a variety of things, and like they don't need to be sport specific, because we kind of have to get away from that. Like
do the opposite
of that. Like let your brain and body filter out, like, how do I figure out this movement? Like, how do I get that done? You want me to do this and this? Like, well, my sport doesn't require me to ever do this. So like, let me just figure this out. So then let me start stressing different areas of like the body. So yeah, like, oh, man, I could go on for days about this. But yeah, I think just honestly, unfortunately, a lot of kids don't do that. The community of athletes that we have in our basketball academy, I think, are starting to realize that. Like, especially the parents, like, we're not just doing the heavy lifting that they're doing in their high schools right now. Right now, most high schools, when they're going inside their weight room and they're doing their basketball off-season training, it's just, plug and play football stuff.
Yep.
Which, okay, maybe half of y'all will receive that and like get away with doing it, because
it'll be fine.
It'll be fine, right? Like you were like survival of the fittest. You were able to get away. And I think that's honestly the athletes that we see become great, whether it's in high school, college, and then make it to pro, is really just that. I think it's like a lot of just survival of the fittest.
I once heard that the best athletes don't succeed because of their coaches. They succeed in spite of them.
100%. 100%. I know of so many athletes that were ridiculous physical freaks that never made it to the highest level or never able to show their true potential because they were just always kind of hurt.
Yeah.
And they played kind of like always at like that 50, 70% because they were always kind of overtrained or always injured. And then they just never made it,
out.
Right? And then like mentally it started messing with us, and then you started going down a whole different rabbit hole of like, what are you doing to that athlete for the rest of his life?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because of course we always, they associate themselves as like athlete. I'm an athlete. I'm a basketball guy. Well, then with the second that's stripped from you and everybody starts giving you that shine, well, fuck, who am I? I've never really had to like ask myself that question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So not to go down that whole rabbit hole, but yes, the early specialization, that's where I think the weight room is huge, man. Like, yes, let's take care of tissue quality because you're doing a bunch of ballistic stuff. You're constantly yanking on that tendon and the connective tissue. So let's like balance that thing out in the weight room. I think that is like the basics. But then like when I start to put, the little extra spices on it, like that's when we can really start to get creative with like our cross training approach and variety of training methods within that, within those buckets.
So you're uniquely qualified to try and tackle this question.
Uh-oh.
No, I don't. No, it's a bear. I get so many questions, and it's something I had to learn how to navigate, still do to a degree, particularly with high school and even collegiate athletes.
Yeah.
Because they're doing so much already a lot of the time. And then they're coming to you. It's like the question I get all the time is like, what do I do?
Yeah.
What the fuck do I do with them? Right?
Yeah.
And here, I don't want to answer the question I'm asking you. So, Cristian, for the performance coach out there who's in your similar shoes, who is sought after, who wants to provide value to their athletes, but they're fucking playing nonstop and they're doing God knows what with the strength conditioning staff at the high school, and they're probably not eating enough and they're doing all the things. How do you still find ways to provide value and help them improve?
Yeah. I think the first area beyond or before even training and stuff that they can take care of at home is 1000% like the nutrition, hydration piece. Yeah. I'm not a nutritionist by any means. I have a very basic understanding of those things just because of my wife, who's an integrative health coach. Oh, wow. So she does the gut testing and seeing what your biology is. And then oh, you've been taking fish oil forever. Well, you don't really need fish oil. It's actually making your issues worse, right? Getting down to the nitty gritty of what's going on. That's where thankfully I'm able to rely on my wife sometimes. And we thankfully have some high school, college, and pro guys that are I want to know. So they get to work with her. And then we're talking about electrolytes as a very basic thing. We're talking about blue blocking glasses. We're talking about just getting enough sleep. And we're talking about just eating enough calories. Can we just do those things? Because especially in the college realm, it is really hard to make those guys do those things. You know what I mean? And you could say it till you're blue in the face and they have a nutritionist and they're doing everything they can to do that. But at some point they're just they just shut down. It's well, the nutritionist might have said one thing that was on the fence to them in the first day of school or something. And ever since then they're oh, F this person.
Yeah, I don't give a shit what she's talking about. Fuck what you're talking about. Yeah.
She only went to school for 12 years.
Right. She don't know shit, man.
So that's bare bones, basic stuff that we're trying to hammer home for them. And then I think it always comes back to well, what else can we do? That's where I think trying to have an open line of communication with strength coaches is always going to be my first goal. It's not always going to be received positively because again, every strength coach in collegiate sports, professional sports probably thinks that what they're doing is enough and we're the best of the best and the best train here. What could you possibly be doing that we don't already do? Right? Which
I've had a lot of experience with that. Yeah.
But I always try to go about it in the way of dude, I'm not here to replace you. I don't want your job. I'm not going to be able to come in and impact him the same way you are. Right. So why don't we at least get on the same page to serve this gentleman or this lady to make him, adapt in a positive manner, then he plays better. They have better stats. You guys win more games. You keep your job. And I don't give a shit about you telling the world that he had an outside person that was helping him and that's why we got there. I don't need that shine. Seeing my guys, I say my guys because a lot of them we have very strong, close relationships with, seeing them succeed is enough for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Totally. Especially in the collegiate realm, where they're school and they're practicing all day and they're running into the ground and they're doing whatever weightlifting they want. A lot of that stuff, with guys at UT that we work with, a lot of that is we're doing fascia stretch therapy, we're doing a bunch of mobility so that the strength coaches know you never need to worry about me doing RDLs and you did RDLs.
You know what the funny thing is I'm hearing in that too is you going back to the very place that got you to where you are.
Facts.
Which
fill
is
in the gaps.
Fill in the gaps, find a way to be useful, not harmful.
Yeah, 100%. And then no ego. Hey, dude, no ego here, bro. I got no ego in this thing, dude. Matter of fact, you could tell me you don't want me to be involved, and I will gladly take it on the chin and be sounds good. Yeah. Truthfully, the strength coach at UT football right now, remember his first year coming in, I was working with Christian Jones, who was a lineman. Yep. All we did was a bunch of ground-based and just standing body weight mobility stuff to work on ankle, knee, and hip, and a little bit of spine. That's all we worked on. And I remember he called me one day, the head strength coach. I had no idea who it was. No, yes. Yeah. Hey, I was about to say, you probably know him way better than I do. Because I didn't work with, I don't mind working with football players, but I'm I'd rather not. I just love basketball. I'd rather work with basketball guys. So he calls me and says, hey, I heard you're working with so-and-so. Yeah, but and I already knew where it was going. So I was yeah, but truthfully, coach, this is what we're doing. Yeah. And I don't cross into your space whatsoever. Oh, well, we do that already. So unless this guy that I've been training for the last 2 years is lying to me,
Yeah.
I know you're not doing that thing.
Yeah.
So again, like, and again, I mean, that was probably the only phone call where it was like, hey, like straight up, don't stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need you involved. Don't mess with him anymore. Like, just get out of here, basically. Get out of our hair already. And honestly, we kept doing our own shit, of course, on the side.
Yeah.
Little side piece, you know, I'm good for that.
Yeah.
But it's like so interesting. But then even some of our guys, like in the NBA, like the head coach, strength coach for the Raptors, we work with Jamal in season, and the head strength coach there, sorry, not like that. We're not that either. More of this than that. We're on the same page. Like, we met each other, dap up, big hug, brother. Like, hey, I will show you videos and everything that we're going to do. Same thing for the guy on the Cavs. This is what we're gonna do. I won't step into your shit. I'll take videos. I'll send it to you. If you want me to X anything, I'll X it immediately.
Yeah.
You know, because I also think there's something with the NBA guys about just like mentally, like, this is my guy and he's coming to see me and he sees me in the summer and I can kind of chat with him and have conversations with them that are a little bit different than like your team.
Yep.
It's just a nature. It's just the nature of the beast.
It's so
honestly.
funny. I've found that kind of like you, I have found pro teams so much easier to work with than collegiate. By a lot, by a long shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working with a Cubs player, and their head strength coach flew down just to hang out for the day.
That's dope.
And look at the stuff we're doing, and then give me the download on what they're doing. And he was like, "Yep, love it, great, man. Y'all kill it. Fist bump, out." You know, dope. I was like, "Let me know if you need anything." He's like, "Vice versa."
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking awesome.
Yep.
But to your point, I was also just like, hey, you've been with him longer than me. You know more than me about him. What are the areas of opportunity? And I'm taking all that information in collaboration with what he's telling me also.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like making the demonstration that I want to be suited to be helpful here.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
I think that attitude is probably like imperative.
100%. If you come in like my shit don't stink.
Yeah.
And I know this guy better than you do. Oh, you're fucked.
No good. And it just... so everything is so much easier when everybody's on the same page and wanting to be successful.
100%. I agree.
So where do you see, as you look at the state of basketball performance, what are some of the things that you feel like most coaches are still missing, or areas of opportunity that more players should have more exposure to, that maybe just systemically or culturally in the space, we're not there yet?
Man, that's a great question. So I'll preface the answer, I guess, with like, I only know what I know.
Yeah.
So we see stuff on social media, but that, you know, judging a program off of one day that you're seeing and 5 clips of 5 things that they did that day, right? It is tough, but honestly, man, I'm probably going to keep hanging my hat on this stuff because I think that a lot of coaches think that it's like pointless and useless and it's a waste of time, but just the general umbrella, and I'll just call it like bodyweight training. And I'm not talking like calisthenics doing handstands on the wall, which honestly, that was a fucking great, fun drill, and I'd love to utilize that for a lot of guys because popping it on a handstand on the wall is actually pretty cool. It's actually kind of more enjoyable for me than it is for them. So I actually like seeing it more than they do. But like, yeah, just the general umbrella of like, you can get a lot done without like, you know, without much weights. And I think that is super valuable. And I think that it's like the light bulb, I think, can go off with a lot of these athletes because then it makes them realize that like, damn, like I can get better and I can feel better without having to like do this, which is nothing wrong with this at all because we do it all year, but trap bar deadlift or lunge, or the way to get my hip strong is doing these glute bridges or whatever the heck it may be. Like, hey, I could give you that sensation, that feeling of strong and supported and resilient through different access points. And we can still do all those conventional things that you want to do, but we're just prefacing it. We're just maybe starting off with a little bit of movement prep to just like, I guess, prime the area before we end up loading the area. You know what I mean? I think that's a huge thing. I think like, again, the FRC for a while I used to think like, okay, high tension activities where you need to spend tons of time in end range and you need to like contract at 80% of your maximal voluntary. And like if we're not doing that, then we're not really making gains at the joint. Like I used to be super dogmatic in that. And then I took a certification with Mark Chang, and we did like this like shoulder, like drill with like these two, God, what were they? They're kind of like combat sticks to some degree, like really light though, maybe like little pieces of plywood or something. And we did this like, at that time I was like, this is a dumb drill. We did this dumb drill for like 5 minutes, and I was like, this is fucking pointless. Like, I'm just like, I'm doing it because I don't want to be the one guy to stop.
Right.
And then I stopped and I was like, okay, well, we didn't do anything high tension. It was literally just like super fluid, like movements around the shoulders. And I remember getting done and being like, holy shit, like that feels like really easy to like move overhead. And I was like, but how is that the case? Because like we didn't really like spend a lot of time in end range. Like I didn't take my time getting like into like that. It's like, so I think it's made me also realize that like there's so many different access points to get to that space of like the ability to freely move. You know what I mean? A lot of high tension stuff, a lot of free moving, free fluid stuff. And again, the truth is somewhere in the middle, and I'm sure it's a case by case scenario. Somebody maybe needs more high tension, somebody could probably do more fluid work.
I love it. I've got some crowd questions for you. Let's hear what the people want to know.
Yes, it's true. I benched 225.
It's true. The rumors, everything you've heard, it's real. Let's start with Fortis_training. Top 5 plyometrics for beginners, asking from the perspective of the demands of basketball. So, top 5 plyos. Your top 5 is always a tough question because it's like, what? Give me the context. Or give me the athlete. Instead of top, Fortis, I'm gonna change your question a little bit.
Yeah.
What are some of your go-tos?
Yeah. So let's just say perfect world.
Yes.
Things aren't hurting.
We got a blank canvas.
We got blank canvas. He's as healthy as can be.
Yes.
Love me some like high tier to low tier pogo. So like I love mixing in like
shout out pogos.
Shout out
Watson.
Pogos. Yeah, exactly. Yes, 1000%. The king of fucking plyos.
The king of pogos,
like
some might say.
Love like just changing levels. Like I love and like adding like a rhythm to it. So it's like
totally.
You know what I mean? Like a 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1. Like so just changing the cadence and changing like the height, starting in a bilateral stance and then maybe getting into bilateral to split stance. Like I love those like simple changes, but keeping like the jump height aspect of it like relatively low. So just keeping impact low and keeping the volume maybe relatively high or building up.
So a lot more rhythm, a lot more timing.
Tons of rhythm, tons of timing, and just exploring like where's your bottom position, like maybe a little bit more stiffer up top and then a bit more compliant towards the bottom. So you're kind of getting like the best of both worlds. 2, love me some single leg horizontal bounds, if you want to call them that, or hops or leaps, whatever the heck you want to call them, I guess, like staying on the same foot. So I like to call them like a hopscotch. So like maybe we're going like, maybe we're going like 2 in the same leg, moving horizontally, and then like hopping over to the opposite leg, and then doing maybe 1 hop only, and then doing 1 hop, and then doing 3, and then doing 3. So changing the cadence. So again, there's like this idea of like I have to kind of think about what I'm doing, but going from like a single leg position to another single leg position. But I also love like being able to make it like, hey, let's start super vertical, and then let's kind of like start to mix in the horizontal pieces and components, and then maybe like mixing that in within that same like set. So like, hey, I want your first like go around with this 1 2 3 count to be more vertical in nature, and then start slowly like building it out to be more horizontal in nature. So just fucking around with like those different types of deals there.
Shout out fucking around, dude.
Fucking around.
I too, and it's so funny because when I would hear, shout out Joel Smith of Just Fun Sports Performance Podcast, played a huge role in my early development and helping me find other coaches and resources. So shout out Joel forever. Just what a good dude, and a great podcast. Years ago, he started having guests on, and I remember he started talking about the importance of rhythm and timing and these other ends of the spectrum when it comes to athleticism. And I would just be like, whatever, man. Shut the fuck up. And
fucking gazelle.
lo and behold, it's important. It's incredibly important.
Yeah.
And particularly when it comes to things that are more plyometric in nature. And I've found just an abundance of benefits from actually, particularly if I'm introducing someone to plyometrics or things that are going to have to, instead of something that's just like a drop jump.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
But if we're hopping, if we're bounding, if we're skipping, if we're galloping, doing pogos, Matt Watson, then I'm actually going to start with the rhythm and timing piece first.
Yeah.
That precedes everything. And then we can layer on the intensity. Because I started at the other end of the spectrum. Yeah. Everything's intense. Force is everything. Yeah. Force is king. Yeah. And I have to do it forcefully or else it's a waste of fucking time. True. But I actually found that if I'm trying to get rhythm and timing and I've only prioritized intensity, it's really hard to find it.
For sure.
However, if I layer on those first two, rhythm and timing and flow, I can find the intensity very easily if I just build up to it.
100%.
I love your approach there.
Yeah, I love that piece. I would say maybe one of the last ones, or if we want 5, we can get 5. But I love like setting up a slant board, having like a little slant board or whatever, and just again like starting with like maybe like a lateral skater, then maybe like a lateral skater. Then when you get back to the flat ground, you're doing like a step back single leg kind of motion, or you're starting to add in maybe like a lateral pogo onto the slam board, and then like 2 lateral pogos out. Like love just being able to like put the foot in like those different positions. I think that's like a huge piece. I think especially in basketball, when you see the slow-mos, they're getting into like these different foot postures at all times, whether they're on defense or trying to drive the ball offensively. And like, if we can kind of put that slant board there and kind of help them feel those positions a little bit more than start stressing it progressively, like I think I love that. Fun too, just a lot of fun.
We've got Tyler Peretz _ similarities / differences between in-season and off-season plyometrics for basketball players.
To be honest, I don't really do much plyometrics in season with like a high school, especially a high school kid. Even like collegiate and NBA, definitely not much, to be honest, unless we're like in some sort of and I'm not a physical therapist, but unless they're in like the tail end of a return to play and like they need to add in like that speed and dynamic component to like a certain ankle or whatever it may be, like I'm not really a big fan if like they're healthy of throwing in much plyometrics. Again, especially for high school kids, like they just hoop so much. And then in college, they're just running all the fucking time for no reason because they got in trouble at practice and coach was like, we're fucking running for 2 hours a day. Like
so was 2 minutes late. Everyone's running.
Yeah, exactly. So don't really do much, honestly. Yeah.
Okay. Coach Care. Shout out Coach Tanner Care, friend of the show. We love him. I don't know what this means.
Uh-oh. Okay, inside joke or something?
How's training the bald mamba?
How's training the bald mamba? Fuck. Oh, fucking duh. Okay, got you. Sorry.
Fucking duh.
Fucking duh.
Who was it?
Yeah, AC, Alex Caruso.
Okay.
Yeah. 2-time champ, first-time champ with the Lakers. Don't forget it.
Here we go. All right, shout out Alex Caruso. The bald mamba is not one I've heard.
No. That's
but shout out. Maybe we can start a trend here. Yeah. Tanner, congratulations. Everyone will now refer to Alex Caruso as the bald mamba.
I love it.
I would have. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to make it a race thing. Yeah. I would have called him the white mamba. I think given the, the black mamba and the white mamba, it feels like
he's kind of white.
He's the whitest, you know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't know. Anyway, how is it?
Yeah, he's dope, man. Yeah. He's super, super cool, super down to earth, loves to play golf. Honestly, you love a good, pro athlete that's just you would never know he's a pro athlete if you randomly met it. You know what I mean? Like, when we're playing golf on Fridays, on in the summertime when he's here, because he's an avid golfer, and I'm trying to get back into being a good golf player. Super down to earth. Yeah, he's gonna go over and above for anything that we ask. Obviously, we don't ask much from him because we don't just like cramping people's space, but he goes over and above for all.
Something I've always appreciated about his game is that motherfucker's a dog.
Dog, dude.
Straight dog.
Dog, man.
Love to watch him play basketball.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
Okay. KB Performance wants to know, when in season, what are your main points for programming lifts and sweet spots for volume?
Interesting. It's interesting. So I'll say for the most part, I'll say high school, then maybe speak to college and NBA briefly. High school, we're basically trying to set up this thing, especially within our basketball academy and our community of hoopers, where we are trying to see them all year round. And we're actually pretty close with most of our guys in doing that, because we have our summer, spring, and we now even have something in the winter. Then we even do some group stuff as well,
Nice.
like a semi-private stuff that we do as well with some of these guys. So for me, like tissue quality is like everything. So like simple shit, especially for high school kids. Tons of isometrics. We're doing some split lunges. We're doing some stuff on the Smith machine for like the lower leg. We're doing some leg extensions. We're doing stuff for the hamstring. Like the most basic isometric things you could ever think of. Like we're trying to implement those like on a weekly basis. That's like our go-to. Are we ever pushing the line? Yes, for some high schools. For one high school specifically, St. Michael's, that we work with all year round, because we know what they're doing all year round, and because we know there's a lot of gaps in their season where they don't play a very challenging like in what do they call, like not their division. What am I doing? Yeah, their division. Their region, their league or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's not too challenging. So there are definitely weeks where like we will not necessarily push volume, but we'll push the intensity a little bit. And I love like complex training. Like Christian Thibodeau, I kind of just like piggybacked off of that of we're gonna do some like heavy, some heavy shit, some like high force shit. We're gonna do some fast force shit. So we're gonna maybe pick a trap bar up 2 or 3 times, maybe work like 2 to 4 sets of some heavy shit. Then we're gonna do some weighted jumps, and then we're gonna do a medicine ball throw or a sprint.
Love it.
Like I love that type of shit.
Love it. Okay. Friend of the show, _El Filippo. Hell of a coach, hell of an athlete, I might add. How do you integrate, in parentheses, core work into your players' routines?
Love that. I love doing core work as like part of our warm-ups. I love like spine pieces in our warm-ups. Sure, you could put them at the very end, I guess, if you like, as an accessory piece too. But like, I love that for the warm-up. I just love the fact of like, we're just going to kind of sneak in some of our like accessory work inside of our warm-up, unless sometimes it's like a game day. Like I just put up a post today where it's like we'll do some funny, funky body weight like movement prep stuff because it's a game day, and we're just gonna kind of like make you do some balancing work where you have to do some other coordinative task with like a basketball to kind of just make your brain have to work a little bit more. But yeah, core training, just love it as part of our warm-ups.
Okay, shout out Femi. I love Femi.
Yeah,
listen, Femi, Austin, Texas legend.
Yeah.
Interned with me for many, many years. Femi's now doing his thing at Google. Happy to have you back in the city, Femi. We are going to take your question. Femi wants to know. Great question, too. What are 3 keys to longevity in high performance?
Sheesh.
That's a tough one.
So I'll go with the buzzword that everyone loves to hear. Recovery is king.
Yeah.
Like, and that could be doing isometric stuff. That could be doing 1x20 days. That could be getting in the ice tub every so often. That could be getting massage work. That could, like, all the things under that umbrella that you can make fit to help counteract all the stuff that you're doing, I think is huge. Number 2 is 1000% like your internal biology. Like, what are you doing diet-wise? What are you doing with your hydration? Like, are you eating enough, sleeping enough? Like, the lifestyle habits is huge. I think that's like probably one of the biggest things, to be honest. Like, if you don't have that foundation down, everything else is going to be kind of like reaching for dear life. And then lastly, I think it's just having a consistent weightlifting routine. Again, I look at like weightlifting is not necessarily something you get big, bulky, and strong. Maybe some of our high school and young middle school guys that are like, okay, you're not very athletic. Like, we kind of need to push you down the line and really try to improve your outputs. Like, can we just get in the weight room consistently 30 minutes or 20 minutes a day for 2 to 3 times a week for 5 years in a row from 8th grade on? Like, I think that would be a huge piece in them being able to be have a longevity-filled career.
I love it. All right, we're done with the crowd questions. Thank you for everybody who participated in that. We're going to go ahead and get into some segments. Our first segment is not brought to you by anybody currently, but I can't announce. We've found we've had a marriage. It's just not time yet, so to be revealed. Okay, so this is 3 things. what are 3 ideas, philosophies, actions, ideas, things that someone can do? We'll take you back. Let's say, you know, someone's in your shoes and they've just left school. Their mom's fucking pissed. Okay. What are you doing? They're betting on themselves and they're gonna do everything that they can to get as much experience as they can. What are 3 things that they can start doing to help them progress in their career?
Damn. One is definitely like just stick-to-itiveness. I don't even know if that's a fucking word. We'll make it
is
a word,
now.
Right?
Shout out stick-to-itiveness.
Stick-to-itiveness. That's what this section is brought to you by. Yeah, just be a dog. Just someone says no, great. All great things start at no. So like, don't necessarily be so concerned about like what the end goal or what the result was on a day-to-day. Just keep fucking going. Like, doesn't really matter what happens day to day, right? It shouldn't change your process and your like mindset of how you approach every day, right? 2, be a sponge. Like, go and find people in your field that you really respect and admire, and like, you know, let them know that you have aspirations to want to be great and you have no ego and you just want to be around them and you'd love to learn from them as much as you can. And then 3, this is a good one. I'll say this one because now that I'm 2 kids under 2, married, like, man, like finding a career or understanding like your career path to some degree. And maybe if you're like really right out of college and you're like, oh, I'm not thinking about a family and kids and shit. Like, trying to set yourself up with the mindset of like, in my 30s is what I'm going to be trying to build, going to be sustainable for like this work-life balance, right? It's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but like I'm definitely going through that right now. Like, how the hell do I find that? It's a daily task.
I'll let you know when I figure it out. It's hard. It's hard.
It's tough.
Okay. Next segment is Rant and Rave. This is brought to you by Train Heroic. I use Train Heroic. Zach uses Train Heroic. So many people do, and from what I know and understand, many, many more have joined since they have started sponsoring the show. We love Train Heroic. Click the link in the show notes. You can join us over there. Rant and Rave. So look at and we'll stick to the basketball performance space specifically. What's a rant? Something that you're seeing that you're like, God, we have to make this stop. This has to go away. I want to see less of this. And then on the other end, what's a rave? What's something that you're seeing? You're like, you know what? Fuck yeah. I want to see more of that. And that's a good thing.
Okay. Rave, I think, is pretty easy. I think just the idea of, I think I'm seeing like more stretching, mobility, this idea of like hiring somebody to like take care of you and to be someone that's like in your corner, making sure that you're, again, like recovering. That could be nutrition. That could be all the things under the recovery bucket. I think that is awesome. I think that's absolutely necessary. My rant would be to the same light. You're making millions of dollars, and if you are able to find somebody that's going to help you build an environment that is going to sustain this higher level of performance, why wouldn't you spend 0.05% of your net income that you could potentially use as a tax write-off as well and help you get 1 more contract, 2 more contracts? I mean, that's just like, I think it's kind of a no-brainer, to be honest. So I think it's on both sides. I think it is becoming more of a thing to some extent, but then at the same light, like it's still not really a thing. I don't think it's as widely accepted as I believe it should be, to be honest. Like, guys that work for the team are amazing, but they could only do so much, right? Like, they're limited. Like, they're not going to call you when you get home, because then they're just going to be like, fucking strength coach calling me again. I fucking just saw him for 3 hours today. Dude. Yeah. So like, I think
out of here.
Exactly. Yeah. Bringing in some outside people, man. I think that'll help you out tremendously.
Okay, I love this segment, and this is brought to you by David Gray Rehab, and the Foot, Ankle, and Achilles program. Use code TIM for 15% off and lifetime access to the Foot, Ankle, and Achilles program. 15% off, just kind of a big deal, just saying. Cristian, if you weren't a coach, what would you be and why?
Damn, all right. I've always loved the music.
Okay.
get ready for this one. You're going to love this one. In college, I was a music manager and also a rapper.
No way.
That went by the name of, you guessed it, Placenta.
You're lying.
Yeah.
No way.
I had like two or three songs.
Tell me your first title album was going to be Afterbirth.
I
don't want to touch you.
Yeah, that's right. You're sick. You're sick. Yeah, that's right.
Placenta.
Yeah, placenta.
Honestly,
yeah.
Your lore is blowing my fucking mind.
Yeah,
this makes
fucking
more
funny,
sense
bro.
now with how you were able to connect some dots in the music space.
I had a roommate that was like pretty talented, like actually an artist. I've fucked around and got on a couple of his songs, but I wasn't gonna be a rapper. But I was like, well, I mean, you make cool music. We got a really cool like community of college kids. There's a space almost like emos that we can go and rent out. Let's go try and make some bread. So we did that, did great. The next day, engineer came in and was like, hey, you're the manager or something? I was like, yeah, I'm his manager, whatever the hell.
Right, yeah, right.
He's like, do you know who Absol is? Are you familiar with Absol? No. Okay, so like Kendrick Lamar, Schoolboy Q?
Yes.
Okay, so they were part of what was called like Black Hippie on Top Dog Entertainment. That was like the label, right? Absol was just another one of those artists that was
on that
like
label.
Yeah, exactly. So if you were like kind of again like it's kind of a niche artist at the time when like Kendrick was still early, but he was part of it. Well, he was his engineer, and he was like, I'm junior in college. I thought I was going to drop out of college, and the guy was like, come to LA tonight. We're going to record in the studio.
Shit.
Tell your boy to bring the fire flame, and we'll do it up, bro. We drove out there to Compton straight, and we pulled up. We parked the car. And then I remember literally out of like nowhere, like 8 dudes just came and swarmed the car. And we like get out and they're like, what's up? Like,
yeah,
fuck you here
fuck
for.
You doing here?
Yeah. And I was like, I think I'm here for like some music or something like that. So we record some shit. We got invited to go on the Smokers tour. What? The guy was like, you can come on the Smokers tour with us. He'll open up, not every night, but like he'll open up some nights. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, you can come too, of course. And I was like, dude, all he had to do was make like 2 more songs. And he didn't.
You're kidding.
Lazy, dude. Lazy,
bro.
Were
you sick?
Pissed. I called my mom and was like, Ma, I know I only got like a semester left, but I think I'm about to drop out.
Boy, your mom had enough of you. Yeah, she's like, this motherfucker, I'm just trying to get his ass through school. He's going to be a rapper. Then you call her a year and a half later and you're like, listen, this program at UT, not working out,
Yeah.
That is fucking funny. That adds a whole nother layer of context.
Yeah, man. Again, that's I just said yes.
Your lore is insane.
Yeah, man. Life is funny.
It is.
Who knows where it's going to take me?
God, that's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe you have like a rap resurgence, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope so. Maybe me and you can do some shit.
Maybe it happens with you when Kendrick finally follows through. Y'all get in the studio and he's like, oh, yeah, get in there and fuck around. And then you rap and he's like, my God. One single tear falls down his cheek. He's like, I'm signing you right now, dog.
I'm on his intro.
Incredible. All right. So that settles it. My dog either would have been an artist or a manager in music. I love that. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So overrated versus underrated. Overrated. What are some ideas, principles, philosophies, or not some, idea, principle, philosophy, training methodology, way of looking at things in the basketball performance space that is overrated? And then on the other side, something that is underrated.
Fuck, man. That's tough. Because honestly, I try not to be a hater, to be honest. So I'm like,
I feel you on that.
Like naturally, like I'm trying to see everything in the best light. What's overrated? Say passive recovery modalities.
Yeah.
We're just gonna do this fucking laser, and that's gonna fix your hurt ankle or your hurt calf. Maybe. More often than not,
probably
not going to fix it by itself.
It's okay to say that. Yeah. I'll say it with you.
Yeah. I think that'd probably be like the one thing right there. Get a call, my calf's killing. What are y'all doing? You just said if I put this laser
I don't know. I got this cold laser. They say it helps.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Yeah. Does it feel better? Nah, not really.
Nothing's different at all.
What'd they say? Just keep doing it.
How much was it? $150.
Yeah.
Tight. Fuck yeah, dude.
Put the compression sleeve on it.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. So passive modalities, not your favorite. Okay. And then what's underrated?
Damn, what's underrated? I think training the ankle and the foot. I think that, like, honestly, and again, just piggybacking off of DGR, Ward stuff as well. Like, just the foot, everything starts at the foot and the ankle. Same way we would train our quads or calves, all this other shit. Like, why wouldn't we spend time just trying to improve our interaction with the ground, making it feel more efficient, being able to push harder, being able to get more compliant or technically more stiff? Like, I think that's something that sometimes gets a little underlooked.
I love it. All right. Last segment here. This is Unsolicited Advice. It is brought to you by Eleiko. I still cannot believe they sponsor this podcast. Did you guys know we're the only, not just podcast, not show, we're the only people on planet Earth that I'm aware of that has a link with 10% off to Eleiko.
Fuck.
Us. We are the only one. That's crazy work. So you heard it here first. Click the link in the show notes. Use code CoachEmUp10 for 10% off. Anything that you can purchase through that link, you'll get 10% off Eleiko equipment. Absolutely insane. Someone should really talk to the North American president and make sure that he got enough sleep the night before making that deal. I'm just kidding. We know him and love him. Solicited advice. Okay. Tomorrow, we're going to be at the gym, as we often are. And, there's seems to be like a constant ebb and flow of people who work at the corporate level. They come down, they hang out for a little bit, and then they go back up. And then for whatever reason, one of these people, the corporates, we'll call them, is working out next to you and you're doing your thing. You've got some reciprocal alternating dumbbell presses going on. They're over here, they're hammering some overhead press right next to you. And for whatever reason, you feel compelled, driven, convicted, possessed. You have to share with them this piece of information. And it can be, advice. Piece of advice. And it can be about life, training, anything at all.
Okay.
If you're going to give a random person trying to mind their own fucking business a piece of advice they didn't ask for, what would it be?
Did you know that if you rap in the shower when no one's listening, it'll increase your lifespan by 5 years?
Is that a real?
No, I have no fucking clue. I'm just blowing that on my ass. I might rap in the shower. That's
See, I thought you were going to tell them to check out your SoundCloud. You know what I mean?
That's what I was. But advice, I was like, I wouldn't. Yeah, I guess I could follow under advice. I was going to say some dumb shit like that. Like, did you know that I was a rapper in college?
Yes.
Scan the QR code here.
Hell yeah. No, actually, I've got a mixtape in my truck. I'll go get it. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That's fucking great.
So you would tell them to explore their creative freedoms in the shower.
I think when you can really what is it called, freestyle?
Yeah.
Just to freestyle a lot.
Yeah.
Fucking just opens up your brain for so much, man. I think it opens up your capacity to be a rapper, a performance coach, a recovery specialist.
I used to, believe it or not always look, act, or behave this way.
Uh-oh.
And there was a time many years ago, certainly before I got sober, I rapped my ass off.
Certainly.
All the time. I was,
really?
Yes.
Yeah. Who did love
me and the boys,
yeah.
We would get fucked up, drunk and high. Other substances may or may not have been involved. And we would rap for fucking hours. Was it good?
I love that.
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Did we have fun?
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
bet your ass we did.
I'm sure in the moment too, you're like, dude.
Man, no, we'd be like, that shit was fire. That was bars. Yeah. We'd be like,
record that?
Oh, shit. And then, like, sometimes someone would record it.
Yeah.
We'd listen to it the next day and be like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
I had the Sunday scaries and now they're intensified 10 times. Yeah.
Fucking hilarious.
Shout out to anyone who's ever felt that feeling. Yeah.
We've all been there.
We've been there. All right. Christian.
Yeah.
We crushed this.
Yeah, that was fun.
Thank you so much
Hell
for
dude.
taking time out of your busy schedule and away from your family to come hang out with me in a dark, scantily lit room.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Of course, man. Appreciate you.
Where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about you?
Yeah. Instagram, no way you're going to be able to spell my first name's probably easy, Cristian without an H. Last name's probably going to be a lot harder. So Cristian G. Placsencia, Basketball Academy is Texas Pro Academy. Website is Durable Athlete, the name of our business. Yeah, probably about it. I'm on the talk, but I don't really post too much on the TikTok.
Yeah, I don't post as much on TikTok, but I be scrolling.
Yeah, I'd be scrolling.
I be scrolling. Everybody, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening and watching. Whether you're a subscriber or not, we're grateful for you making it this far. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Peace.